South Point is also proud to provide a variety of relaxing amenities for the guests who want to be pampered. Soak up the sun and let your stress melt away in our lagoon-style paradise swimming pool. A relaxing getaway where you can bask in the desert sun and enjoy seasonal food and bar service poolside. And if you really want to escape, come to Spa Costa del Sur. From couple suites to a co-ed wet area, our spa caters to business and leisure travelers who want to unwind and elevate their senses. A visit to one of our spa's steam, sauna, or whirlpool treatment rooms will leave any guest feeling like they can take on the world. Our gaming amenities include over 60 table games and over 2,600 of the most popular slot and video poker machines. We have penny slots, including the popular Buffalo games, and real machines like Wheel of Fortune, Triple Sevens, and Megabucks. If you prefer video poker, try Deuces Wild, Double Double Bonus, or a variety of multi-denomination games. Or try your hand at one of the most popular casino table games in the world, Blackjack. Don't let the game intimidate you. Blackjack, also known as 21, is both easy and fun. And our dealers are always happy to assist. And the best part? Blackjack always pays 3 to 2. Next, check out the roulette tables. Roulette is one of the easiest casino games to learn, and so much fun to play. It's a favorite of both beginners and seasoned players. In addition to blackjack and roulette, our casino pit features over 60 popular table games like Baccarat, Pai Gow Poker, 3-Card Poker, Ultimate Texas Hold'em, and Mississippi Stud. So get out of your room and come join in the fun.
Good morning. Welcome in. It is Sports by the Book here at the South Point studio. I'm Jeff Parles. I'm surprised Ryan didn't do the Sean shot there right out of the gate. Nah, it doesn't matter. I think the moment might have passed. Just me, at least for, well, there you go. See, there it is. There it is. Well, that chair will be filled by Chris Andrews tomorrow afternoon. That chair will be filled by Alex White Saturday through Wednesday right here on the channel. We're thrilled to be with you as always. We got a fun one here today. In 5 minutes, Dwayne Colucci, Rampart Race and Sportsbook, his thoughts on the weekend ahead in the NFL, his thoughts on the national championship game. And maybe, by the way, Dwayne has been on a run of posting like the best looking food on Instagram recently. And just making me hungry think about it, even though it's 9 a.m, even though, is there really a bad time for a good sausage and peppers? No, I don't think there's a bad time, in all honesty. It could be 3 a.m. and still be a good time for a good sausage and peppers. I know Vinny is smiling somewhere right now with this conversation, but we're very happy to have the show here today, as always. We got a great weekend ahead. And also, too, we have our first foray into college hoops this year. Jim Marute will join us at 9:30. Jim's a little bit under the weather, but Jim will fight through like he is. We have to. Jim and I have to be excited about our Mizzou basketball team that beat a top 5 team on the road earlier in the week. All right. Perfect timing for that. Ryan, you can throw that right up there. If you've been living under a rock, that's what the NFL bracket is right now. The final 8 here in the NFL playoffs. Only one road team won last week, and that was the Washington Commanders. All the other home teams held serve. Yes, I know the Rams technically were playing in Arizona, but they were still the quote unquote home team in the game. But Baltimore, Buffalo, Philadelphia, Houston, all them home teams won. 3 underdogs though. Rams were a dog, Houston was a dog, Commanders were a dog. So split even with that. Buffalo, Baltimore, and Philadelphia all covered as favorites. And those were the 3 biggest favorites on the board too. So it was either big favorites or dogs this past week in the NFL. We cycle through all the games. There you go to Philadelphia game 5.5 on that. So looking at least here at first, I'm going to hold the AFC games for later because Baltimore and Buffalo is, to me, as hard of a handicap as there's been all year in the National Football League. One right now with Baltimore favored on the road in Western New York. The Chiefs are a much bigger favorite than they were just 3 weeks ago against Houston. Closed about 4 in that game. Remember, though, that one was a little bit funky. Remember, Patrick Mahomes didn't look like he was going to play. Books thought he wasn't going to play. Blind flipperoonied when Mahomes was totally fine. This is now 8. We'll get to that a little later. I want to look at the NFC side of things because I think the NFC games are a lot more bettable than this. And you want to start off with a bang real quick on Saturday night. I haven't been here since Monday. I wasn't fully prepared to do this right out of the gate here. The Washington Commanders are 9-point underdogs in this game, which obviously is a big number. This will be the biggest underdog in the postseason, more likely than not. We've not seen an underdog of this magnitude win in this round since 2019. That was, of course, when the Tennessee Titans, with Derrick Henry, walked into Baltimore and stunned the Ravens. That was the first Lamar Jackson MVP season. That was a stone-cold stunner, as we know. I think we're going to have company this weekend. And I usually don't do this on Thursday morning. Usually I save this for Saturday, but I'll bring it up again on Saturday. But I'm curious to see how this market plays out. I'm curious to see how this is bet. But the Commanders have the makeup to pull this thing, not only plus the 9, which, by the way, I think 9.5, if you can get that. I don't think we're seeing 10 again. I think it's great. I think you can take that right away on the Washington Commanders. I'm going to be sprinkling on the money line, and quite frankly, I'm probably going to be picking them outright in the own regards when we do the show on Saturday morning. Not probably, I will be picking the Washington Commanders outright. They have the makeup to win this game outright because of 2 things. What did they do last week? Forget the non-punting stuff. They have the makeup in order to have long drives, in order to hold the football for a long time and get points, and more importantly, keep that high-end Detroit offense off the field and keep that Detroit defense that, yes, was much better against Minnesota, but they're still battered. They are still battered. And you are in the case here where the Washington Commanders, with Jaden Daniels as a rookie quarterback. By the way, no rookie quarterback has advanced to a conference championship game since Mark Sanchez, because, of course, 2009. We had back-to-back years with rookies in the conference championship with Flacco and Sanchez back-to-back for those 2 years. We haven't had anyone since. We haven't had anyone since with those 2. And I think Jaden Daniels joins that collection. And this is not to say that Detroit is not a worthy 1 seed. They are an awesome football team. Their offense is high end. But the Commanders have the makeup. Now, and look, could Detroit win this game 38-35, 38-31, 35-28? Yeah, sure. That's still an easy cover on the Commanders' end. But they have the makeup in order to win this football game, and I'm picking them outright. Picking the Commanders outright to beat the Detroit Lions because of Jaden Daniels and because that defense for Detroit, boy, really, really concerned more so than anything about their well-being going forward. And even if they hold serve, very much concerned about the Detroit Lions. Again, because of that defense. But 9 right now here at the South Point on the Detroit Lions, favored with a total of 55. I see him in the bottom of our screen right now. I see him in the bottom of our screen, and I know he can hear me because he just smiled as I mentioned it. So we'll bring him on right now. Our good friend up at the Rampart, Dwayne Colucci, joins us. Now we'll be seeing him on these Thursday mornings at 9:05 here with no more football frenzy in the afternoons on Thursday. DC, good morning, my friend. Oh, I don't hear Dwayne here, guys. We're gonna do that real quick. Dwayne, you got me real quick? No, okay. All right. We're going to take a quick break. Apologies for this, guys. We'll take a quick break. When we get back, we'll make sure we hear Dwayne right here on Sports by the Book here on a Thursday morning. All right, let's see what we got.
South Point offers all the types of entertainment you'd expect at a first-class Las Vegas resort. Did you know our 400-seat showroom is one of Las Vegas's top destinations for live entertainment? Enjoy live performances by classic Vegas entertainers, bands, and today's hottest comedians, plus a rock and dance floor. You can also enjoy live entertainment at the Grand View Lounge, where you'll feel all the vibes of old Las Vegas. Enjoy the music, and if you love to laugh, don't miss The Dirty at 12:30, our very own free comedy show. Every Friday night at 12:30 a.m. in the Grand View Lounge. The Dirty is 100% free, so arrive early. Go to southpointcasino.com or call the box office at 77136 for today's performances at the showroom and the Grand View Lounge. When you're ready for your favorite cocktail, stop in and unwind at one of our 7 specialty lounges. There's a bar around every corner, because you're in Vegas, baby. South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
Come back in at Sports by the Book. We now have him. We can hear him. Our good friend Dwayne Colucci up at the Rampart joins us right now. DC, good morning. Take 2. We threw the flag. We false started. Oh yeah, yeah. Well, we'll go back to those old school Verizon AT&T commercials.
Right.
We can have them all there. All right, Dwayne. Let's. I want to start in the NFL weekend, and we'll work our way through. Let's start in Kansas City. The Chiefs, who have not played their guys in 25 days by the time this game will take place on Saturday, is an 8-point favorite against Houston. The total's been bet down from 43 to 41.5. Right now, for Kansas City, weather-wise on Saturday, it's just going to be cold. It's going to be 20 degrees a kick, so it's going to be cold for those fellas from Texas. But Dwayne, I'll just ask you here. We saw this game the week before Christmas. I know that was a funky one because you had the Mahomes injury that was not, but this line was 4 points less than it was that line the week before Christmas was 4 points less than it is today. Is that too much of a move, or is this just based off of we had more sample size? Even with the win for Houston, Kansas City still is more than a touchdown better at this point.
Tough game, I'll be honest with you, just because of the injuries on the Houston side of the ball. That's what starts to affect. Tank Dell was available back then. So, it was definitely a different scenario, but Houston looked very good last week. I mean, they showed that their defense could definitely step up, and this becomes an interesting game because of the inactivity period of the Kansas City Chiefs. But what team would you feel more confident with having that inactivity period but the defending champions, a team that's been there, is well coached, knows what to do definitely knows how to garner health. That's the whole key with Mahomes, Kelsey, guys like that. You want this team to be healthy, and they've been banged up, whether it's been Pacheco, whether it's been, Tony, whoever it is, you definitely need the health going into this game with the cold weather being factored in. Houston is somewhat of an indoor type of team. This definitely favors Kansas City in many, facets of the game. I think that they have a better offense right now. I think that Mahomes is way more mobile than, CJ, even though he played exceptionally well last week. And I think they just caught a team that, Houston, that it was ripe for the taking for them, and especially at home getting points. Now this is a different scenario going outdoors. Like we said, the movement on the total, you could see how that was affected just because of the cold weather. And Patrick Mahomes is definitely going to lead his team and that charge, full throttle. They definitely want to play the winner of the Ravens and Buffalo. This is the NFL. This is the divisional playoffs, and this is such an important game for the Kansas City Chiefs. Despite how much they accomplished, you're definitely the number one seed leading in, and you want to prove that, and you want somebody to possibly, test you, but you don't want to go too crazy. I mean, they just laid down in that last game of the season. They didn't play anybody, Jeff. And, whether they didn't want Cincinnati in the playoffs, whatever they felt, they did the right maneuvers. And I think they're going to come in full health, and defeat this Houston team. 8 points, though, is quite a bit for a team that hasn't covered and has a very suspect spread record this year.
It's very interesting with, again, last week, like bettors also, Dwayne, will see what they saw last. And that was the best Houston Texan performance in, probably maybe even the entire season last week in their routine, always 4:30 Eastern time Saturday playoff game. But, it's so interesting. And you brought it up too, Dwayne. Like, we've seen this with Kansas City in the past. Like, things wrapped up, they sit their guys, and they look sharp. There would be some teams that I would be concerned about waiting this long, going almost a whole month of real time without real action, but I'm kind of with you. I'm not really overly concerned about that from the Kansas City end of things.
No, and we're seeing a 2-to-1 ticket count, so the public really isn't, concerned about this either. Once Kansas City starts to play playoff football, they become a market attraction from our side of the counter. People are hip to the Chiefs now. They're going to bet them. They're going to tease them. They're going to parlay them. They're going to bet them on the money line, and especially against a suspect team like this. And you see a nearly double-digit point spread because the team is limping in somewhat. They don't have all their assets. Trust me, if you had Diggs, Dell, and all these guys out there, this would be a much smaller point spread, and Houston would have probably played much better towards the end of the regular season, not having their best performance in round one of the wild card. So you bring up a great point, Jeff, but I don't think people are concerned about the Chiefs at all. We could see it right now. The money is favoring the Chiefs, not 2-to-1, but the ticket count is, and we did see that initial hit on the under, like you said. The cold weather is definitely going to play a major factor. 4:30, like you said, keep that in mind for our West Coast, consumers, that's 4:30 on the East Coast. So the sun starts to set, going to get cold in Arrowhead. It's going to be a tough scenario for CJ. I could see him running around and getting crushed quite often. He's going to have to get rid of the ball very quickly. The running game is going to have to be strong to beat the defending champs. It takes a lot, especially in Arrowhead. We've seen it even with Buffalo. Allen could do it in the regular season, but come playoff time, it's a different animal. I think they're really fired up. They have so many different attack weapons. That tight end position, don't just think that it's Kelsey. You have so many different options. They've gone 3 tight ends deep and used Kelsey as just a decoy. And you have definitely some strong wide receiver play and running back play from the Chiefs. The whole question is, can the defense keep CJ off the field and continue on in this playoff drive? I think the Chiefs could do it. But like I said, 8 points is a lot. It's really a lot. And when you tease it up, you could get 2 touchdowns on a 6-point teaser. Think about that. That's definitely very appealing if you're betting some significant money on teasers.
Dwayne, I'll tell you, this actually just brought up a great point. I mean, Kansas City down to 2 on a teaser. Great teaser number for a favorite. 14 for Houston, which, again, 2 touchdowns on a teaser in the NFL. Even though, Dwayne, I do have to bring up, because the last time these teams met in the playoffs was in the 2019 season. My wife and I watched the game up at your shop. Brent Musburger was at the table next to us. Brent had a teaser on Houston Remember, Houston went up in that game 24-0, less than 5 minutes into the second quarter. I said to Brent, because he had a teaser with Houston, I think you're good. And, of course, Kansas City won by 3 touchdowns and no teaser numbers came in on Houston. So
yeah, that was a lot different, though. You're going back how many years was that, Jeff? So,
that's 5 years.
Definitely a different animal.
Well, I learned my lesson, Dwayne.
Different quarterback, too. Mr. Watson was back there.
Yeah, it's Stroud instead of Watson. But, Dwayne, I learned my lesson that day. Don't say you have a winner until it's triple zeros. Learned my lesson.
And I'm sure Brent let you know about that, too. Mr. Musburger loves to put his money down, so he was letting you know.
Dwayne, I deserved it. Let's just go with that. I deserved it on that. All right, let's go to Detroit next. Look, in the open, I said I like Washington not only with the points, but they are very much live, and I like them outright in this game. Detroit does get David Montgomery back, so they'll have their two-headed monster back there in the backfield yet again, Sonic and Knuckles back there. They're healthier on defense. They had the bye, but Dwayne, I think Washington is built to, at a bare minimum, stay in this game because of the way their offense is constructed, where they have long clock-eating drives. Last week they didn't punt. Third time this year that has happened. This is 9. Dwayne, I'll ask you this also. Can this game hit 10? Can this game hit 10 with the way that it seems like everyone is all over Detroit, all over the place this week?
I don't know if it could get to that key number. I mean, we're talking 2 steps, Jeff, but you see a 2-to-1 ticket count and money 2-to-1 on the Lions. And this is another case in point where so many people are just betting the money line parlays, the teasers on the Lions. They're just enamored. This is a high-powered offense. Like you said, you get Montgomery back now. Whole key is clock management and keeping Detroit's defense on the field, which has given up a lot of points this year. Don't kid yourself. This Detroit Lion defense looked really good in that final week, to establish, but was it really Donald or was it Detroit? This is what we have to establish. Minnesota really didn't look good in the last 2 weeks. Their 2 most important games of the season. One of them happened to be against this Detroit Lion club, and the Lions were very impressive. Jared Goff was definitely an MVP candidate, for at least midway through the season. He has had some, amazing games where he has just had unbelievable quarterback rating, 4 or 5 touchdowns in a game. But this is a Commander team that knows how to control the clock. They have the best rookie in the NFL, and he happens to be their quarterback. He's a great team leader. The kid is just amazing. I mean, he went right into Tampa and took control of that game. It was a tough battle, but he definitely outplayed Baker Mayfield. And I think that Washington does have a chance. And if you start to see this game get to double digits, definitely we're going to see some massive buyback from the Sharps. Right now, ticket count is 2-to-1, money 2-to-1 Lions. Very tough games to handicap, Jeff, because we have such an inflated point spread on these teams that we know, have 14 plus victories. So they're rolling in, off of bye weeks. It's going to be very interesting because this is a different team than the Chiefs, the Detroit Lions coming off the bye week. Let's see if Campbell can keep them really motivated. Commanders are well coached, playing at a high level. It's just going to be a great game. I definitely give the Commanders a shot in this game with the 9 points. I agree with you, Jeff. That's a lot of points. And if you could get double digits, I would jump all over it, from my consumer standpoint. But I don't know, us bookmakers, we're very leery to move that game into the 10s. It's not a banged up Commander team. It's a Commander team coming off a victory on the road. Definitely going now indoors. Weather won't be a factor. So I think that Washington can compete here.
Should be a fun one. High total as well, 55, 55 and a half in the market as well. Again, we just don't see those mid-50s anymore in the NFL, but we've seen them a bunch with Detroit this year. Obviously, Week 18 went way under that Buffalo game. They're still scoring points a month and a half later, those two teams against each other. All right, let's go Philly and the Rams next. Dwayne, this is 6, and it hasn't moved since you guys opened it there at the beginning of the week after the Rams dispatched of the Vikings on Monday night. Totals 44. Again, this is the weather in this one. Now, it was supposed to be colder earlier in the week. It looks okay. You're getting about 36, where in the beginning of the week, it looked like it was going to be in the teens, which this game was played on Tuesday. It's a high of 9, so lucky for them, it's not that. But Dwayne, I don't know what to do with this game. I really don't. The Rams looked awesome on Monday night, playing for their city, playing for their season. Stafford looked like Matthew Stafford of the Super Bowl run in that game. Philadelphia's defense dominated Green Bay. Their offense didn't have their best stuff. But this is a really interesting game where you have a Super Bowl winning head coach and a Super Bowl quarterback going onto the road against a team that is super talented in Philadelphia.
Yeah, super talented, but massive clubhouse problems. I mean, A.J. Brown continues to be a problem. I don't care what you're talking about, reading a book on
You didn't like the book, Dwayne?
Well, I just don't think it brings stability. And Sirianni has been known to have, an unsettled locker room. And, they have a phenomenally talented team, great quarterback, great wide receiver, best running back in the game. So, definitely Saquon is going to have a lot of pressure. Another game where you want to keep the Rams offense off the field. You see how deadly at times Nakua could be, but they have no running attack. And, what did they beat last week? They looked really good. Okay, I don't buy into that. They got calls from the referee. Definitely, that was an intentional grounding in the end zone. I don't know what they're talking about, these referees at times. It seemed to be gift wrapped for the Rams. And, it just, I don't feel it for them going into Philadelphia. Philadelphia, when they are firing on all cylinders, is a much better team. Sirianni needs to get Hurts and Brown on the same page. Two great wide receivers there. That defense is monstrous. You've seen them control Love, even though those wide receivers were so banged up. Jeff, if you watch that game, how was Philadelphia hitting them? Massive hits, putting a licking on that team. And I think they're going to try and do the same to Kupp and Nakua. And these are guys that at times have shown that they're brittle. So I love Philadelphia in this game. And if their offense could ever play, they're going to blow this team out. I just hope that the refs have their heads on straight and don't start calling these games all screwy with calls that come out of nowhere. No pass interference calls. Even at the end of that Philadelphia game, they got the benefit of a great call there. They threw the guy on the ground, intercepted the game, end of game. The referees have been very suspect throughout the whole season. I just hope that the game is called well. The home field is raucous. You've seen all that social media crap that the fans are brutal in Philadelphia. You and I have experienced that firsthand, especially you as a Met fan. That rivalry with the Phillies and how Philadelphia fans get. So you're not going to have many LA Ram fans in the stands. This is going to be a tough nut for Matthew Stafford, but they're a capable team. But I could easily see this game going higher and higher and higher. We're seeing right now close, though, in the market with the money. Ticket count slightly favoring the Eagles. A lot of Ram takers because we are in Las Vegas, Jeff, and everybody loves Los Angeles, because the Raiders haven't hit the level yet.
Might be a while for that, Dwayne. But I will tell you, you mentioned the hard hitting. I like this game under because of that. I think this, especially, first off, the Rams had 9 sacks on Monday night now. Some of that had to do with Darnold holding the ball too long. Some of that had to do with Minnesota's offensive line being a disaster. But the way Philly's offense did not play well against Green Bay. It was their defense that stood tall in that game. And look, it kind of helped that Philly was handed a touchdown early in the game on that, what looked like was pretty clearly a Green Bay recovery that they just didn't overturn. But I think this is a big under game. I'm going to see how high this number gets and then wait to see if I can get a 44.5, maybe even a 45 if those first 2 games are high scoring. We'll see how it plays out over the next few days. All right, Dwayne, the game of the weekend, Buffalo-Baltimore. Favorite flip. I opened 1.5 Buffalo. Now it's Baltimore 1. Dwayne, I need guidance here. I don't know what the heck to do with this game. I have no idea what to do with this. Total of 51 for this one. The winner of this one, again, if Kansas City holds serve, the winner of this one would go to Arrowhead next Sunday.
Oh, what a tough game this is. This is one of the best playoff matchups that I've anticipated in years. We're like going back to the old Dallas Green Bay days, smash mouth football. Just a fabulous, fabulous game. Hard to get a read on this. You saw that Buffalo opened the favorite. Now Lamar and Baltimore are the favorites. What a great, great game. I'm looking at the ticket count, very close. The money is very close. This is a tough, tough game to handicap. Both teams are playing at a top level. You have 2 MVP candidates. Buffalo Buffalo just came in and they did what I told you guys they were going to do. They destroyed Denver. Denver had no chance in that game. They scored first. Oh, yeah, they look great. The quarterback, all this. And then Buffalo just brought their A game, and Josh Allen was in complete control. Very difficult to play in Buffalo at this time of the year. We've seen Lamar stumble several times on the road in his career in big marquee matchups like this. Finally, he's healthy, though. We've seen now the last 2 years, ever since he got that contract settled, he's playing at a very, very good level. We got to watch the status of Flowers. That's very, very important. It takes away a weapon, but, they have Henry now. He is King Henry. He can control the ball, and Cook has to match him on the running back side. This is going to be a great, great matchup. Quarterbacks are evenly matched, maybe slight receiver edge to Lamar, but wow, what a tough game. I'm laying off this game. I really don't have an opinion. I just want to see the Chiefs play the winner from a handle perspective because it's just going to be off the hook, Jeff. I mean,
it's going to be awesome.
Chris, Vinny, and Jimmy and myself are all about. We want as much action as we can book, and that's the game that everybody's focusing in on. You can see the bracket right there. Chiefs and the winner of Buffalo Ravens is just what everybody wants, and hopefully we'll get that, if the Chiefs could hold serve. But any representative from this game is definitely going to create handle, especially Lamar Jackson going to the championship round. Everybody wants to see this kid succeed. You have Coach Harbaugh. He's a legend, already has Super Bowls. So, definitely this is going to be a great, great game. Probably going to be the highest handle game of the weekend. It's just who do you select in this game? Who do you tease up? Who do you tease down? Just an amazing, amazing game. And I'm going to kick back and watch it Sunday at what time is that? 3:40 Pacific? What a great, great game. What a game, Jeff.
It's a look. I'm with you. This is the hardest handicap all year. The only thing that as the weeks got along, and I understand the Flowers, like we got to see if he can play or not. But Buffalo's defense got torched by every high-end offense they played this year. And I just we get closer, I'm like, you know what? I don't really want to bet Baltimore as a favorite, but how does Buffalo get stops? Baltimore, remember, destroyed the Bills in week 4, but that was a great spot to go against Buffalo. They had started 3-0. The Ravens were much better than all three teams Buffalo had seen the first 3 weeks. So we'll see how it plays out. All right, Dwayne, we'll let you go. Pleasure as always. NY Bookie Dwayne on the tweets. See him up at the Rampart Racing Sportsbook Director up there, and also see him all here every Thursday on this show. Dwayne, thank you as always.
Thanks, Jeff. I really appreciate it. Talk to you next Thursday morning. And,
you got it.
Enjoy this football and enjoy that championship game. That's another tough one. Don't sell Notre Dame short. I hope you cash that ticket, Mr. Parlay. I'm rooting for you now. I was laughing. Now I'm rooting.
I'll tell you, Dwayne, I have made enough money on Notre Dame during the playoff itself that we're good regardless. There's no hedging. There's no hedging going on for me. I'm just throwing hedging. No hedging.
Hedges are for clippers.
There we go.
Say that. You clip hedges. You don't hedge, especially when you have your heart in a position. And I cashed in nice on that Penn State game, too. That was a good one, Jeff. Thank you.
You got it, Dwayne. Dwayne Colucci, everyone. All right, we'll take a quick break and we get back. Jim Root of Three Man Weave. We go into college hoops when we get back. Sports by the Book. Dwayne, thank you, buddy.
Thanks, Jeff. Love you, brother.
Love you too. See you. Will do. Will do.
We have 11 amazing restaurants featuring a wide variety for every price range and appetite. South Point's Garden Buffet has something for everyone at unbeatable prices. Or, if hunger strikes in the middle of the night, join us at Coronado Cafe. The American menu offers breakfast, lunch, or dinner 24 hours a day, plus a Chinese kitchen for authentic Chinese dishes from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. From steak and eggs to wonton soup, it's fast and friendly service 24/7. When you need a quick pick-me-up, you can find it at our state-of-the-art Starbucks just inside the main South Point entrance. Order ahead with the Starbucks app for easy mobile order pickups. Or enjoy your favorites in the relaxing dining area anytime, day or night. If you love Mexican food, Baja Miguel's has all of your south of the border favorites. There are dozens of classics to choose from, like fajitas, ceviche, chimichangas, tacos, and more. And for spirit lovers, Baja's colorful non-smoking tequila bar is right outside.
Remixing back in. It's Sports by the Book here on a Thursday morning. I'm Jeff Parles. Happy to be with you. Big thanks to our guy, Dwayne Colucci, as always, for hopping on. I get to keep these big headphones on because we got more. We got more from out of town. Joining us right now, you saw him and his teammates, Matt and Kai, with us all season long last year. And first go around here in college hoops, at least with me hosting here on this show in the morning. Our good friend Jim Rue joins us right now. Second Chance Points, three-man weave, Action Network as well. Jim, before we start, because the big Mizzou flag's in the back, it's nice to see our boys from Missouri back and playing at a high level with that after that gigantic upset over Florida earlier in the week. Their second top 5 win of the season. How about that, Jim?
It's awesome. It's making it a lot easier to forget last year, going 0-19 against SEC foes. So nice to see that the upside is there. It's the highest Ken Palm ranking in Dennis Gates' tenure now in 3 years. We're crossing our fingers. We should be in good shape for it, but a reappearance in the NCAA tournament this year would be delightful.
Oh, I look, at this point, it would be a disappointment if there's not a reappearance in the NCAA tournament. And they got a chance to send Arkansas straight to hell this weekend. Yet again,
I can't wait.
I do want to ask you real quick because there was a lot of hubbub this offseason, and we can kind of turn this into a macro discussion on the SEC where, look, Lunardi's got 12 teams projected right now. There's a legitimate argument, honestly, going into conference play, there was a legitimate argument for 15 out of 16. Since conference play has started, Arkansas hasn't won, which is astounding in its own right. But on the positive side, you have Auburn, even without Janae Broome, dominating a really good Mississippi State team earlier this week. You have Tennessee, who's 16-1. Even with the loss this week, you have Florida as a high-end team. You have Alabama, even though they lost earlier this week to a game Ole Miss team. This, Jim, I grew up in the New York area when the Big East was at the peak in those beginning of the 2010s. This league is better than that 2011 Big East that got all those bids. It is astounding to see what we've seen in that league so far. And look, I think 12 bids is in play for the SEC this year. I really do.
Yeah, you just need the right teams to go like 7-11 in the league or something. Yeah. You look at Oklahoma. You mentioned Arkansas hasn't won a game. Oklahoma hasn't won an SEC game yet either, but they've got wins over Michigan and Louisville and the non-conference Arizona, I think, too. Like they have really, they did their work in the non-con, and now they show up. They lose at home to Texas last night, their new SEC rival, and haven't been able to take care of business. They collapsed late against Texas A&M. So you just, you need the right kind of dominoes to fall with the teams that get to that 7-11, 8-10 mark, but it's entirely possible. And a part of what differentiates this league from like even the Big Ten's trending towards maybe double-digit bids, but the top end of the SEC, like you mentioned, there are 4 very bona fide national title contenders, and maybe more than that with the way Ole Miss is playing and winning at Alabama. Our Tigers, who knows, winning at Florida. But yeah, Auburn, Tennessee, Florida, Alabama. I think you've got 4 real Final Four national title level contenders to go with the incredible amount of depth that the league has down the slate.
I mean, just looking at it, I mean, obviously, again, Auburn is far and away number 1 in my ratings. Even with Broome out, they're still number 1. I mean, you have Kentucky there. You have A&M, who's really good as well.
Right.
It's crazy how loaded it is in this league. And it's funny and I just want to go to Tennessee real quick because we saw Rick Barnes go to this faster pace for a few years, and there's some success, but he goes back this year to I'm just going to grind you to death to your opponent. They're 319th in tempo. Their defense is top 5. Yesterday they had a really poor offensive first half and then just pulverized Georgia in the second half. And that was with their best player, Chaz Lanier, doing nothing on offense in the second half. Again, I know trusting Barnes in March can be a fool's errand from time to time, to say the very least. But the way Tennessee is built, that is the team that, even though they were number one in the country not that long ago, kind of feel like they're sliding under the radar from some people still.
Yeah, the defense is ridiculous. So you've got basically three tent poles and inside at the point guard spot and on the wing that are arguably like top three defenders in the entire country at their positions. Parles is an elite rim protector. Zakai Ziegler on the ball is the tone setter, and he was SEC Defensive Player of the Year last year. There's a chance Jemai Mashak is actually the best defender on this team. Like 6'4", 220-pound linebacker. You just throw him on whatever perimeter weapon the other team has, and he erases him from the game most of the time. It really is the trick, is there going to be enough offense? And Chaz Lanier was supposed to be the one that kind of bolstered that, and he was for quite a while. But his last three games have been a huge slump. 4 for 24 from deep combined over those. Only 25 total points in his last three games. And Barnes benched him over the last weekend against Texas, because he said he wasn't shooting enough. So that's what we pay him for. We pay him to shoot, and he wasn't shooting. So they're trying to extract enough scoring, I think, out of that lineup. But I have them behind Auburn easily, like you mentioned. Yep. And then I think Florida is a little higher up to just the guard play that they have. I trust it a little bit more than Tennessee scoring.
Jim, I want to go to the Big 12 real quick, because last night we saw Iowa State continue their winning streak with just really putting it on Kansas, especially in the second 20. They had the miraculous. That was a miraculous win on Saturday in Lubbock. They had no business after everything that happened. The way that game transpired was a wild game in West Texas. But Iowa State's only loss is a 2-point loss to Auburn on a neutral that they were leading by 18 in the first half. This is, to me, they're the one team. Like, if we're not taking Auburn in the national title when we get to the tournament, Iowa State is top 8 in both offense and defense on KenPom. This is a totally different team for people that may be just tuning in right now to last year, where, again, amazing defense last year, average offense. Now they can do everything. This tournament coming up, Jim, just feels so draw dependent right now. By the way, Iowa State, where are they? They are 12-1 right now behind us to win the national championship.
Yeah, Iowa State's ridiculous. The development that they've gotten out of their guards. Keyshawn Gilbert was a decent guard at UNLV. Curtis Jones was a solid volume scorer at Buffalo, a team outside the top 200. And now they're like dominant in the Big 12. Jones is terrifying. Last night, he lit up Kansas. He's coming off the Big 12 Player of the Week honors. Anytime he has the ball, anytime he's over half court, he feels like he's in range and he's confidently shooting it. You add that to Lipsy, who's kind of right up there with Zakai Ziegler as best on-ball type ball hawk in the entire country. You've got active mobile bigs that set screens. They know their role. They can pass the ball a little bit. And then, Gilbert is a terrific pick and roll guy, getting downhill and getting shots up on the rim and getting to the free throw line. It's shocking to see how much better they've gotten offensively. Outside the top 50 last year, inside the top 10 this time around. They can really, really score. And last night was without Momcilovic, the big-time shooter, sophomore wing, 6'8" forward from Wisconsin. He's like, he'll be back in a month, but it looked like they didn't even need him last night because they can defend even better when he's off the floor.
Jim, before we get into some games today, I just want to ask you about Duke and the ACC, because the ACC is a mess. Let's just go with that. Duke obviously is a legitimate national title contender. After that, Clemson's a tournament team. Louisville, credit to Pat Kelsey for turning that around quickly. Those two teams are clearly NCAA tournament teams. But I just wonder, real quick, Jim, just the weakness of the ACC, where I think Duke has a legitimate shot of getting through there at 19-1, maybe even 20-0 if they sweep the two Carolina games. But does that hurt them at all, like NCAA tournament wise, where, again, I know they played the monster non-con and they get that very random game against Illinois at MSG in February. But this is an ACC that is, Jim, I don't think has been this weak in, goodness, maybe forever with what it's been other than Duke at the top.
Yeah, and nobody else in the Ken Pom top 25, like you said, they're projected to go 19-1 right now with a 34% chance of going undefeated. It's ridiculous. They've got 13 games left, and they still have that, a third of a shot to go undefeated. I don't know that it totally hurts them. I think back to the discussions we've had about a lot of elite Gonzaga teams coming out of the WCC or really good Houston teams before they moved to the Big 12. Like, is that going to limit them coming out of a conference that doesn't have as many NCAA tournament caliber squads? The one thing that might hurt Duke, and we saw it a few times in the non-conference, late in games, winning time, crunch time, who's the go-to guy? Does John Shire have the right play to draw up for them? They're not going to have almost any of those chances late in games. They don't really get to work on that. And they're winning every game by 25. Even the Notre Dame game that finished 8, they're up 18 with 4 minutes left. And Notre Dame just kind of reeled them back in and made it look close on the final score. But if they're blowing everybody out, I just think those late game reps in terms of where do we go? What's our best 5 in a crunch time situation? Is it Cooper Flagg in ISO? Do we run him as a screener with Knipple as the creator or Proctor as the creator? The end of the Kansas and Kentucky games, we saw the flaws. And if they don't get another great chance to work on that until March, then I could see it biting them a little bit, just the inexperience in late game winning time.
No, and I agree with you 100%. I was at that game against Kansas here in Vegas. The last few possessions in that game were messes, and they were not well-designed plays. I know Knipple almost threw in that ridiculous banker that would have forced overtime, but they were not good possession. I agree. And again, they're going to get Duke is going to get a 1 seed. They might even, if Auburn loses a few games in the SEC, Duke might get the overall number 1 seed, even though they probably aren't the best team in the country. But again, I'm with you. I think it does hurt them long term especially again, it's conference play. There'll be one game you would have to imagine some random game, who knows? Maybe that game in Charlottesville is randomly close because Virginia just plays it at a 50 possession clip. Again, it's got to come at some point that one of these games ends up being a little bit tight. All right, let's go to today. Let's start in the Big Ten. Here, Jim. Let's start with Maryland and Northwestern out of the gate here. Terps are a 1.5 point road a favorite in this game in Evanston. I can't really figure out Maryland, man. I guess it's just the same sort of thing that it's always been under Willard here. But I don't know what to make of them. And Northwestern, again, well-coached team, still lacking scoring, especially with Boo Buie gone. I miss him so much, Jim. I miss Boo Buie so much. But what would you do here with Maryland as a 1.5 point road favorite in Evanston today against the Cats?
Yeah, I'll take the slight home dog here. Just take the plus 105 money line price with Northwestern. Maryland hasn't won a game on the road yet this year. I think they've bolstered their numbers a little bit by beating up bad competition. They are a Q4 darling, just absolutely demolished teams at home. But on the road, they lost at Washington. Washington is a nightmare right now. And I know that's all the way across the country. This one's only to Chicago. But dropping both of that Pacific Northwest trip, now you go to a tough-as-nails Northwestern team. You said it. Maybe the scoring's not quite there, but they're unconventional. They've got a couple guys in Barnheiser and Martinelli that are tough matchups, bigger wings that can kind of iso ball you or back you down, a little booty ball in the Big Ten. And they've got size to compete with Derek Queen and Juju Reese up front. So if Northwestern can maybe turn this into a half-court game, play through those creators on the wing, where I don't know if Maryland has the right defenders to match up with them, I like Northwestern to get a win here in Evanston, about 40 minutes north of me, where I'm at right now. Yeah. So go Wildcats.
Cats the play for Jim. Plus, I think that little sprinkle on that plus 105 on Northwestern. All right, here's another short line. We go to Philadelphia here for this one. Conference matchup. Elon and Drexel here, your matchup. The Dragons. Oh, this is an elite mascot matchup. The Phoenix and the Dragons. My goodness. The Dragons of Drexel, 1.5 point favorite against the Phoenix of Elon with a total of 134 here in this one.
Yeah, this is basically like a Harry Potter matchup of the mascots here. That's what we got. I'm going to take the road Phoenix here. I've been really impressed with them this year. Just completely figured out how to play defense. After last year, they were a sieve. And part of that is getting Matthew Van Komen, a 7'4" center. Played D2 last year. He used to be at St. Mary's, that kind of assembly line of big men that Randy Bennett has out there. He takes away the rim completely. And you add that to they're healthier. They've got two twin guards named TK and TJ Simpkins. So easy to confuse those guys, but one of them was just out for a little bit. He's back. He's healthy. They've got their full lineup. And I've just been a little skeptical of Drexel so far this year. They are 11-6 against the spread. So I've taken it on the chin, fading Drexel a few times, but I think this is another good spot to go against them with that heightened side that Elon has and the health of their backcourt with both Simpkins brothers back on the floor.
Jim, the last game we'll talk about, I'm so happy you texted me this morning with this one. We go to the Big West. Cal Poly hosts UC Davis. Cal Poly is trying to snap a 44-game losing streak in conference play. They almost did it over the weekend against Santa Barbara. They lost in heartbreaking fashion. And here they are now at home, favorites against the Aggies of UC Davis. Jim, does Cal Poly snap the streak finally and get on the board for the first time in 45 games in Big West play?
Yeah, how crazy I'm going to lay 4 here with a team that hasn't won a conference game in 3 years or whatever it is, but I'm going to do it. I love this Cal Poly team. It's been a little bit of an ugly start to league play this year, but they've been a lot more competitive. They're like 100 spots higher in Ken Pom than they were last year. This is basically, people love Drake. This is kind of the same thing. A D2 coach that brought 4 starters with him to his Division I stop. They started really strong this year, surprised a couple of teams, almost won at Cal, at least competed for 35 minutes there. I think it's a very competitive Big West. I'd say after the SEC, it's been the league I've had the most fun watching this year. So if you're up late or if you're on the West Coast, check out all the great basketball in the Big West. But Poly's got a really beautiful offense. They're the fastest team in the country. You get up and down, ping pong back and forth, a lot of shooting. And they've got one lockdown defender in Mac Riniker, who I think you throw at UC Davis's T.Y. Johnson, who leads the country in usage. You take him away, and it gets ugly for UC Davis. So Poly with a little bit more balance, a nice home spot here against a team that struggles to score outside of their top player, T.Y. Johnson. This is it. First time in 45 games. Jeff, we're going to get it done. Cal Poly, the Mustangs, get that victory tonight.
Jim, this is excellent. A team that hasn't won a conference game in 44 games, and we're laying the points with the Mustangs. And you're right about the Big West. UC San Diego and UC Irvine played as good of a game as there's been outside of the SEC this year over the weekend, that Irvine won by 8. Both of those teams are both legitimate top 50 teams in the country.
Large caliber. They're really good.
Irvine, whoever, assuming it's the Tritons or the Anteaters, Irvine or UC San Diego in the NCAA tournament out of the Big West, whoever draws them is not going to have a fun time in the first round. Let's just go with that.
Sadly, it's not Gumble revealing anymore, but whoever sees that's going to be like, why are we playing the Big West team? That's not the draw we want.
Yeah, it's going to be an 11 seed that's going to be really, really dangerous right out of the gate. He's Jim Root, second chance points on the tweets, 3-man weave the site as well. You find him also on Action Network to find all of Jim's great content. Also, by the way, I haven't said this. Your work this offseason was amazing. Let's just go with that, Jim. Oh. It was great stuff. It actually helped me have a clue for once going into a season. So that was really good. Reading through everything you did, prepping everyone, helping everyone out with all your work for the off season. So appreciate that. And Jim, I know we'll see you again as we have about 2 months away from Selection Sunday at this point already.
It's coming on fast. I didn't even process that it was within 2 months until you just said it out loud. So, yeah, got to start bracing for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Jim, thank you as always, buddy.
Cheers. Thanks, Jeff.
Absolutely. Jim Root, everyone. All right. We got a few minutes left here. We're going to go through a few things here on the on this card. Myself here for College Hoops. I want to start in Minneapolis tonight with the Golden Gophers taking on the Michigan Wolverines. Michigan who was number 11 in Ken Palm. Two really good big guys inside. If you haven't watched Michigan at all this year, Danny Wolf, the transfer from Yale, Vlad Golden, if you remember him from the FAU Final Four team, he was the big guy. Elite interior talent on this Michigan team. Now, they're laying 9.5 against the Minnesota team that played Maryland very tough on Monday. Almost won that game as a big underdog in College Park. Lost that game by 6. I like the under in this game. Now, you have a contrast of styles here. The better team plays the faster style in Michigan, but the team that plays the slower style is at home here. 144, I think this game is a reasonable under here tonight, where Minnesota is able to play their style a little bit better at home in the barn. We'll go under 144 with Minnesota and Michigan here tonight in the Big Ten. Another Big Ten matchup, battle of red teams. Rutgers, who is just, I don't know if there's been a bigger disappointment in the country than Rutgers. 2 top 5 caliber draft picks. You know, they never recovered from the game McCormick and I were at here in Vegas. 9-8 on the year. They did beat UCLA earlier this week. So a good win and a needed win for Rutgers, who needs to start stacking wins in order to get their NCAA tournament hopes even alive at this point. They go to the Midwest to take on Nebraska, who has been unbelievable at home. They have not lost this year at home. Actually, in all honesty, they've not lost in the state of Nebraska because they won at Creighton as well earlier this year. This is a big number, though. 8.5. Woo. Don't think I'm willing to lay 8.5. I think it would only be a take. It would only be a take in this game with Rutgers. Now, again, Rutgers has been, or Nebraska, I should say, has been dominant at home. Dylan Harper's still trying to work all the way back from that flu bug that he had been dealing with. Ace Bailey has played much better while Harper's been dealing with the illness. But we'll take 8.5 with Rutgers here on the road. Could Nebraska run them out of the gym? Yeah, absolutely. More than possible here today with that. And then we're going to go to the WCC. How about in this limited engagement in the WCC for Oregon State? How about a shot at home against Gonzaga? How about a shot against the Zags here? 9.5, your current number on this game. This opened 9, so the betting action has been on the Zags. I'll just tell you this. In this, before Gonzaga moves to the back to, both of these teams go back to the Pac-12 in hoops because they'll both be there in 2 years from now. I just wonder if you get some more weird, wonky results with Gonzaga, or games are tighter. Like Wazoo covered against them on Saturday. Now on the road, it's a weird spot to play at Gill Coliseum in Corvallis. A weird spot to play. We've seen Oregon State. We saw last year pull a gigantic upset when they were worse last year against Arizona. I'm not saying Oregon State's going to win the game, but this feels like a tight game to me that should be played in single digits. Not a mathematician. If you're getting 9.5 in a game single digits, either way you win. So we'll take the 9.5 with the Beavers. That's actually my favorite play today in college hoops. Add it to the spreadsheet, McCormick. We'll take the 9.5 with Oregon State here against Gonzaga. All right, hockey today. You saw it on our thumbnail before the show. One gigantic game in the Eastern Conference in Toronto tonight, where the New Jersey Devils are favored on the road at the Leafs. Again, keep track of who's in net here. That's part of the reason for this here tonight. But we're going to take the homestanding Maple Leafs at the plus price, plus 105. Again, keep track of who's in net here tonight for both sides. But we'll take the Leafs at home, who right now are leading the Atlantic. Right now in the East, if you, again, just in and out on hockey, the Capitals are the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference right now. They're actually leading the chase for the President's Trophy at the moment. A totally unexpected year out of Washington. The Devils, really slow start and very much stabilized. Clearly a good playoff team. We could be en route for another Carolina Devils series like we saw 2 years ago in the Eastern Conference playoffs. But I like the Leafs here tonight. We'll take the plus 105 on Toronto. All right, before we get out of here today, I just want to go into the College Football National Championship game and also shout out to chat, Dean Hilt, JR at the ballpark, Jerry, Vince, and girl from Indiana who has got eyes on Lamar and McNeese tomorrow. I'm going to say that's probably not a girl from Indiana based off of knowing well, I think a friend of ours might be getting creative with their avatars. Let's just go with that. Who have been very enamored with the Lamar Cardinals this year for whatever reason. So shout out to them. Hope you're feeling a little bit better here today. All right. National title game, real quick. And then I have one more NFL thought I want to get out here on this show today. We are not hedging Notre Dame futures. Just throwing that out there as our friends from the SGPN network, Ryan Kramer and Sean Green have said. I am kind of in this camp as well. That hedging is for gardeners, or as Dwayne said earlier, hedging is for clippers. Either way, that is how I kind of feel. Now, hedging is all personal preference and risk tolerance and all that jazz. And if we were to win more money, I probably would lay a little bit on Ohio State minus 350 or a better price as we get closer to game time. But the way I played this tournament, like I've bet Notre Dame every game also, and I've won on Notre Dame in the 3 games. So I'm already working with a profit as it is, regardless of what happens with this future. So I'm not going to bother. So for me, Notre Dame, if we're just coming in cold here for the national title game, I do like the Irish again. I think this is a close game because Notre Dame's defense has been able to keep them in games here. Now, I'm very much concerned about Riley Leonard against this defense. This is the best defense that Notre Dame will have seen of the 4 playoff games. Yes, I know they played Georgia, but this Ohio State defense by the end of the year is better than Georgia's defense. They're more consistent. Look at what happened to Williams, Mikael Williams, their best pass rusher. Notre Dame shut him down. Georgia's best pass rusher is going to be a top 15 pick in the NFL draft. Which also leads me to the under yet again. And the markets bet this under. Unless if Ohio State has a nuclear offensive explosion, which, look, the Buckeyes are more than capable of it. We already saw it against Oregon and Tennessee earlier in the playoff. Now, granted, I think both of those defenses were significantly weaker than the Texas defense. Then we saw Ohio State, it was, realistically speaking, it was one huge play in that game, and 7 of the 28 was scored on defense. So, Texas did a pretty good job against Ohio State in that game. Had a real shot to win until the disaster at the goal line. But if you're coming in cold, I like it under. I like Notre Dame plus the 8. See how this goes over the next few days. Maybe we get back to 8.5. Maybe we get back to 9 even. I'm curious to see how the market plays this over the next few days. All right, NFL-wise, I do want to throw this at you real quick. Because earlier in the show, if you missed it, I did take Washington plus the points officially. And we're taking Washington on the money line as well. I just want to see how high that number gets. The other favorite play of the week that I think the number will go against you as we go through the week that I think you need to get in now, and I mentioned it to Dwayne, the Rams and the Eagles under 44 seems really good. The Eagles' offense has really been messy over the last few weeks, even, again, not against the Commanders before Hurts got concussed. But last week, Jalen Hurts was really all over the place. Now, the Rams defense is not going to be able to do what they did last week. Philadelphia's offensive line is, if they're not the best offensive line of football, they're one of the 3 best. They're not going to be able to do what they did against Minnesota's mediocre O-line. And Jalen Hurts isn't going to hold the ball as much as Sam Darnold did last week. But the Rams are going to struggle to score in this game, even with those great weapons of Nakua and Kupp and Kyron Williams. Last week, the Rams offense was humming for a whole half, and that game only got to 36. We have a Philadelphia defense that we're dealing with here this week. If you're the Rams, that is the best defense in the NFL. They put Jordan Love in hell last week. Jordan Love was terrible in that game. And it didn't matter that Jalen Hurts struggled last week. Turnovers, bad decision-making. Philadelphia's defense caused that from Love. Now, it won't be as easy against Matthew Stafford, who is, to me, a Hall of Fame quarterback. But this feels like a game that is grinding, playing in the low 20s at best, which still gets you in under 44, unless if 24-21 is the lower 20s game that you lose on, which would also mean a Ram cover. But the under in Philadelphia, along with Washington, plus 9.5. And on the money line, look for the best price. Best price right now in the market is at the Westgate at plus 450 on the Commanders. They're live, guys. They are very much live. Ball possession, shortening the game. The big concern that I have on the Washington side is they do have problems against the run, and we know how good Detroit is running the rock. So that is something to keep in mind in this handicap here with the Commanders. All right. That's all we got for you here today. We're back on this channel tomorrow at 9 a.m. Kenny White will be here. And we're back at 3 tomorrow afternoon. Myself, Vinny, Magliulo, Chris Andrews. Get you ready for the weekend ahead in football. We're super excited to get that all rolling on Football Frenzy on a Friday tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Drew Dog, Ryan, Vince, Jerry, Sean, feel better, my friend. And thank you all, as always. I'm Jeff Parles. We'll see you again next time. Sports by the Book here at the South Point Studio.